Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Daniel and welcome to my channel. In today's very special episode, I'm going to be showing all of you lovely, beautiful people how to brew 1 gallon of peach wine at home using frozen peaches that you can find in your freezer aisle at the local grocery store. Throughout this video, I'm going to be showing you all of the ingredients that you'll need to get your peach wine started, and I'll be doing a step-by-step breakdown to show you exactly what you're going to need to do in order to get your delicious peach wine fermenting. I will also be going over what equipment you'll need to get started. Most of the equipment that I'm using in today's video comes from Home Brew Ohio's 1 gallon wine making kit. This is a winemaking kit that I've already done a review on, and if you follow the link above, you can see my entire review of Home Brew Ohio's 1 gallon winemaking kit. If you have not started making wine at home, but you want to get started, I highly recommend checking out this kit because it has almost all of the equipment and ingredients necessary to get started, including a very easy to use recipe book. Now, before I dive into the instructional portion of today's video, I would like to encourage you beautiful people to just gently tap the like button to show this channel some appreciation. And if you have yet to do so, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. If you want to see more videos like this, if you want to see more DIY content, winemaking, etc., go ahead and smash that subscribe button and stay tuned for future videos. Alright, so let's start making some wine. So I'm going to list off all the ingredients, but before I do so, I want to say that only 4 ingredients are vitally necessary. That's our peaches, water, sugar, and yeast. The rest of the ingredients help with the quality, they help stop your wine from going bad, but they are not necessary to make peach wine. So now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's dive into the recipe. In today's recipe, we are going to be using 2.5 pounds of frozen peaches that I got from my local supermarket. We're going to be using water to fill it all the way up to the 1 gallon point. I always use purified water. I'm never going to just get tap water out of the sink. I always run it through a filter beforehand. We're going to be using 2 pounds of sugar. We're going to be using half of a teaspoon of yeast nutrient. We're going to be using 1.5 teaspoons of acid blend. We're going to be using 1 teaspoon of pectic enzyme, 1 Camden tablet, 1/4 teaspoon of wine tannin, and then what is our most important ingredient is 1 package of yeast. This yeast is going to be doing all of the work, turning our peach mash into some delicious wine. The equipment that I'll be using to make this wine will include a 2-gallon bucket. You just need any sort of container that you can seal and put an airlock on. I'm going to be using a wooden spoon to mix everything up. I'm going to be using an airlock, anything that will allow gas to escape without allowing matter to come in will do. And then I'm also going to be using a hydrometer with a graduated cylinder, which will allow me to measure the specific gravity, which while doing so over time will allow me to eventually measure the alcohol content. Those are all of the ingredients and equipment necessary to make our peach wine. So now let's throw it all together and make something beautiful. So we're going to take our 2-gallon bucket and then we're going to get our frozen peaches. Let them thaw out, let them get to room temperature before you add them into the mix. All I did was take my frozen peaches while they were still frozen, I threw them into a cheesecloth bag, and as they were thawing out, I crushed them to help get some of the juice out. And now that our frozen peaches are at room temperature, finally, we're gonna throw the juice and the peaches in the cheesecloth in the bucket all together. So now that we've added our peaches and our peach juice into the bucket, next we're going to be adding all of our dry ingredients except our yeast. The yeast will go in at the very end. So that is our sugar, that is our yeast nutrient, that is our acid blend, that's our pectic enzyme, our Camden tablet, our tannin, not in any particular order. On my bucket, I have the 1 gallon mark marked off. And now that I have my peach juice and my dry ingredients added, I'm going to fill it up with water all the way up to the 1 gallon mark, maybe just a little bit more. And then we stir. Stir to your heart's content. Get all of your dry ingredients dissolved in with the water and the peach juice. That way, whenever we take our specific gravity reading, it is mixed well enough for us to get an accurate reading. This next step is very much optional, but I do want to know what my specific gravity is, so I'm going to be taking a specific gravity reading. Your target specific gravity is around 1.085 to 1.090. And as long as you follow the recipe as is, you should land right around there. So now that we've written down the specific gravity of the mash for future reference, we're going to bloom our yeast. All I'm doing is I'm taking some water at approximately 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm taking my 1 package of Premier Blanc Red Star wine yeast. I'm adding it to the 100 degree water and I'm letting it do its thing. It is not necessary to bloom your yeast. You can go right on ahead and throw your yeast straight into your mash, but I think it's fun to do a little time lapse of my yeast blooming. So last but certainly not least, we're going to take our yeast, add it into the mix. We're going to throw on the lid to our bucket to keep any contaminants outside of the mash, and then we're going to put in our airlock to allow CO2 to escape as the yeast does its job, but we're also concerned about keeping any contaminants outside of the mash. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. These are all of the steps, all the ingredients, all the equipment necessary to get your peach wine started. So definitely stay tuned to see how this wine turns out. As I've said, if you're glad to be here, go ahead and smash that like button. And if you want to stay tuned and see how this wine turns out, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, so much for being here. I can't wait to see how this turns out. But until then, I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day. Have fun brewing, guys.